Hello, I'm here today and I'm going to talk to you about your customer value proposition. And I suppose one of the reasons why I'm coming on to discuss this with you is because there's a lot of things happening in the world right now that potentially could impact your customers. And what I mean by that is things happen in your customers' lives that trigger different types of needs, different goals, different problems and challenges that they have. So when things are happening in the world, that is the ideal time to consider and review what your customer value proposition is. So this was an exercise that I did in my group program with my solopreneurs just this week. So your customer value proposition is about understanding what is the problem that your customers are looking to solve. There's a fantastic tool, in fact, that you can use to create and develop your customer value proposition, and it's called a customer value proposition canvas. If you type that into Google, it'll give you a document that you can use. And one of the first parts of that is to look at what are the customer's jobs to be done. And this really ties into customer experience in the sense that every customer is looking to achieve something. As it relates to your business, there is something that your customer wants. And that want or job to be done could be something, a functional job. It can be an emotional job. It can be something that relates socially in terms of emotion, for example, in terms of maybe relationships, things like that. But also in terms of status, sometimes people are looking to transcend. If you consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, some of the jobs to be done in the pyramid that you might be familiar with from that concept is that there are physiological needs that people need, and those are jobs to be done. So safety, security, those are the basic jobs to be done. If the product or service that you offer can help a client solve those problems, well, then it's something that they're more likely to take action on and to work with you on. So when you're looking at your customer value proposition, the first and foremost thing you need to do before you even consider the job to be done is, who is this customer? What is the problem that they're facing? What is their need or desire as it relates to your business? And when you determine that, the next thing to look at is, well, what are their pains? What are the things that will trigger additional pains with regards to this? So what I mean by that is, if it's a case that they have to wait in a queue, they have to stand in line. It's going to be, maybe you have an online service, they have to go on hold for a long period of time, or maybe they can't get to have a conversation with you for 3 months because you're so busy. Those are things that will frustrate clients and potentially cause them to go elsewhere. So, what are the annoyances and frustrations that clients have as it relates to the job to be done? And sometimes those frustrations and annoyances can be things that are external, they're outside of your control. But if there are things that you can do to relieve those pains and annoyances in any way, or if you can provide gains to the client in a way that they didn't expect that helps solve that problem or alleviate the frustration in some way, well, then your value proposition is going to be something that will differentiate you from the competition and make more clients want to engage with you. So sometimes then, we've talked about the job to be done that your customer has, and things that can trigger it are like what's happening in the world right now. We've got a global pandemic, which is still going on, and there's a war. So things are being impacted. How are your clients being impacted? Yesterday, and sorry, I'm kind of jumping back, but what I'm talking about are triggers, things that trigger you to review what your value proposition is. So something else, I happened to be speaking to a client yesterday, and their business, they're a government organization, and their business is one where changes in regulation impact their clients because there's different types of funding available for their clients. And so if they don't review what their value proposition is, if they don't review the journey that their clients are going on, potentially they're going to lose customers because the customer's jobs to be done have changed as a result to the trigger, which was the regulation. In some instances, your customers, and my husband happened to have a conversation with me last night about this, and he was saying he's in transport industry and logistics, that some businesses are really struggling in terms of the cost of fuel, in terms of the cost of energy, and so their businesses have gone into liquidation. So if your business is a business that services one of these types of clients, it's important that you view your value proposition to make sure that you're still relevant and that you're looking at your customer as a whole. So again, to consider what your value proposition is on an ongoing basis, review it, see is it relevant, what are the triggers that are happening at the moment that will impact your customers' jobs to be done. What are the problems or frustrations that they're facing right now? What are the pains that they're experiencing right now, even the ones that are outside your control? And where can you implement gains that is going to make the client go, oh my gosh, yes, I have to do business with you. Somebody is just messaging me right now. Let me just see if this is somebody messaging me live right now. No, that's fine. Okay, so when you identified, the pains, the frustrations, the problem, and the jobs to be done, the next thing is to look at the gains. And this is, what does success look like for this client that you service? When you help them, what is it that you help them to achieve? And how can you demonstrate that? How can you paint that picture of success? How can you outline what that outcome really is going to look like? Because when you outline the success, when you outline the outcome, when people really understand what the benefits are, well, then that's what's going to help you win the day. That's what's going to help you delight your customers when they engage with you. And here's the thing, you can include unexpected benefits for your customers. And for customers to have a good customer experience, what they expect is that the service standard, that the experience from day one, from the time that they discover your business right the way through to the after sale journey, that experience is consistent all the way through. They're not looking for you to wow them all the way through that journey. And that journey can be a quick journey like that. If you consider a retail store where you go in, you purchase something, you walk out the door, that's it, done. Whereas if perhaps, for example, in my group program, I work with clients over a 6-month period or a 12-month period. And so throughout that entire journey, the experience must be consistent. But if you provide unexpected benefits, what can happen then is that you delight the customers and you surprise them in ways that they didn't expect. When you do that, that can be what causes the customer to have a wow experience. So sometimes those unexpected benefits are the things that can enhance your value proposition. And I'll explain why in a moment. I'm going to give you the top 3 things to consider when you're creating and reviewing your value proposition. So we've talked about the triggers, we've talked about the problems, we've talked about the pains, we've talked about the gains. The next thing is, how can you relieve the pains that your customers are experiencing? So if you consider this, it's the pains or the frustrations, the annoyances that customers have. And sometimes what you can do and where you can find ways to include this in your value proposition is you can look at your competition and think, okay, so I saw on Google that somebody put up a review about my competition over here that said they were waiting in line for, 25 minutes. So your value proposition can be, we have no queues. You've instantly relieved that pain for that client. That was something that was a major frustration and annoyance. And so that is something you can include in your proposition to attract clients. So how can your products or services, how can your offering alleviate pains? Perhaps, for example, it could be a client's pain is that I had a client, for example, somebody in my group program, and one of her pains was that she was struggling to articulate what her message was. So a pain reliever for her was having somebody be able to extract that information from her so that she could communicate in a way with her ideal clients how it was that she could show up and serve them. So it's about, again, what is the job to be done? And then what is the pain or frustration that people have? And then how can you relieve that pain? Then gain creators. Gain creators are how you intend to use your offering to produce the success or outcomes that your clients desire. And these can be the benefits of the job to be done. So, the benefits can be social, they can be functional, they can be emotional, or sometimes they can be supporting. And functional, as I say, solves a problem. Typically, that the functional stuff is related to the physiological and the safety needs that you might see in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whereas social relates to status, emotional is more to do with somebody's state of mind. So, which of those does your business support? And sometimes it can support all of those things, but you need to speak about that in terms of what the successful outcome looks like. And these can be some of the added benefits that people get. So the state of mind might be, for example, they might feel more confident, they might feel more secure, they might have more clarity, they might have more direction. What happens to your clients? Somebody I was speaking to yesterday, and they said that their clients' energy, it was women who have tried all the diets, they're exercising loads, but it's just not working anymore. So this person is trying to help them feel more like themselves, get their energy back, get their mojo back. And so what other impacts does that have? That has an impact perhaps on a woman's confidence. So things like that, those are added benefits that, their job to be done is to maintain a healthy weight. But an added benefit is the emotional state of mind that they get once the functional job is done. Their health need is met, then the emotional need is also met. So it's an added benefit. I hope that makes sense and you see what I mean. Okay, so I did say, and then I suppose that the next thing that really ties into this is, then you design your product or your service. This is then where you create your offering. And one of the things to consider about this is your offering can come in multiple formats, and it can have different elements and aspects of it. It doesn't all have to be one tangible thing. It can be digital, it can be intangible, or it can be financial. So if you consider then what is your offering going to be, that is what can help you develop something that is going to distinguish you. It's going to separate you from others and help you create something that others can't replicate, that is unique to you, and that helps you provide a differentiated customer experience. So here's the 3 things to consider. Number 1, does your offering actually differentiate you from the competition? Is your offering something that nobody else is doing? How can you market that then is one question. And what elements of it are you marketing? Is it the job to be done? Because probably the customer's job to be done is the same no matter who they go with. So the gain creators, the pain relievers, those are the things to be talking about, as well as what the pain points are, because the pain points in talking about the problems your customer have is what's going to prompt them to buy, because customers buy solutions to problems. You need to talk about your problems in your messaging. The next thing to consider is it difficult for the competition to copy? What you don't want to happen is that you create this fabulous customer value proposition only for your competition to go out and absolutely model, replicate exactly what you've done in exactly the same way, because then you're not going to stand out anymore. You're not going to be unique. So make sure that when you create it, that you include something that is very difficult for your customer to copy. Think Coca-Cola with their recipe, right? They haven't put the recipe anywhere. They haven't patented the recipe. They literally keep it on a piece of paper in a safe somewhere. There's a reason for that. And there are things that you can do behind the scenes in your business with your offering to keep it unique and make sure that your competition can't replicate it. So the third thing is, does your product or service offering, does it focus on jobs that a large number of people need to get solved? Or does it focus on a small on something that is small, a problem that a small number of people need to get solved, but that smaller number of people will pay a higher amount for? Okay, so again, let me repeat that. Does your offering focus on a job that a large number of people need to get solved, or does it focus on a small number of people who are willing to pay a lot? Because again, that can help you with identifying how you're going to show up. Is it a luxury brand? Is it an experiential brand? And what's differentiating you from your competition? And this can be one of the things that you use as a differentiating factor. And again, for something that's a small number of people are willing to pay more for, that can make you elite. It can be the thing that drives your brand reputation as well. So just to be mindful of that. So I hope you're clearer now after that about what a customer value proposition is, and that you factor in looking at it every so often when things are happening in the world that trigger different problems for your customers, things that trigger, maybe what they would like their gains to be, things that might alleviate those pains for them. And so by doing that, that's what's going to keep you relevant in your marketplace. That's what's going to keep your product or service offering relevant in the marketplace. And it's going to help you get your messaging right from a marketing perspective so that you resonate with your ideal clients. And because customers' needs are changing all of the time, it's important that you understand your customers. And to really delve into the problems that your customers are experiencing, you need to talk to them. You need to ask them these questions and find out what is it that they want from you? What is the main problem that they want from you? And sometimes what can happen is when you engage with your customers in terms of the problems that they have, what you determine is the problem that they think that they have is actually not the problem that they really have, okay? And so sometimes you've got to sell them what they want, but then give them what they need. And that can be the thing that that differentiates you as well, because this can be an unexpected benefit that your customer gets. And it can be one of the things when they get something above what they expected, that can be what makes them deem that the entire experience was good value. And again, when you're really clear on the problem that your customer has, when you engage with them at the outset, which is something I highly advocate that every business does, you can then determine if that is a problem that you can in fact solve. Because when a customer embarks on a journey with you and they have problem A at the outset, if you can't help them accomplish that goal or solve that problem, meet that need or desire later on in their journey, they're never going to become raving fans, die-hard fans, or cheerleaders of your business. So really, really delving into who your customer is, understanding your customer, understanding the problems that they have, understanding what their needs, goals, and desires are, those are the things that are going to help you identify and create fantastic customer value propositions. Those are the things that are going to make you have differentiated customer experiences. And by doing that, that is what is going to create a brand and a business that will have a reputation where the sales will look after themselves. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope, as I say, you are a bit clearer now on what a customer value proposition is and why it's important to review it quite regularly to make sure that you are really up to date with your offering. So thank you for watching. And if you've got any comments or thoughts, please leave them in the thread below. Thank you again. Take care and enjoy your day.